Situation report, November 1941. Polkovnik Igor Frolov, 165th Guards, Norwegian front. We arrived in the village of Höjlandet, right at the Swedish lines. The 19th Norwegian had stopped their advance here and doggedly held out against superior numbers for months. The terrain, especially in winter, is unforgiving. The enemy was well equipped, but they must have been fighting without resupply for some time. We established an artillery position on the elevation on a foothill east of the town and began shelling them. To our surprise, there was not even an attempt at counter-battery fire. I decided to send 1st Battalion on a reconnaissance and force mission, supported by 3 of our flame tanks. The forest was too wet to catch, but a few bursts was all it took to get them to surrender. A few tried to resist from dug-in machine gun positions, but they were neutralized quickly, and we took the enemy divisional HQ by afternoon. Engineering will repair the railway to Narvik, and 152nd is dealing with strugglers in the north. We are making good progress in securing Trondheim. Situation report, November 1941. Polkovnik Zinovy Krylov, 146th Guards, Kenyan front. After the lines had been stabilized and Malakal had been secured, we are in position to begin the offensive towards Nairobi. Unfortunately, our native scouts report a large detachment of South Africans reinforcing the German Middle Africa positions around Kampala. We are outnumbered 3-1 and at the edge of our lines of communication as the trucks struggle to get through the bushland. Our combat engineers are working with their Persian counterparts to secure material to construct a railway line from Malakal to the front, which we hope to connect to Kampala once it's taken, for the subsequent attack across the mountains towards the Kenyan capital. As the fighting continues in other parts of the world, we are still trying desperately to secure Memel. The terrain is obviously not very conductive because Memel is just basically a port, but the actual terrain is open plains, which makes defense relatively hard. We're trying to get the fortifications improved, but obviously the consistent attacks of all of the German armored forces at this point. We are talking, what do we got? 12. We've got 25 armored divisions, so a full panzer army crashing into Memel, and that makes the defense rather difficult. So we are doing our very best to hold the lines here, but we really are going to need the heavy tank divisions, and they are relatively close to. To being completed equipment-wise. I don't know for how much longer they need to train. I hope that it says, this December 5th. So they're mostly trained. They're just waiting for a little bit more equipment, and then they will be deployed. And I think the very first thing we're probably going to do is actually send them into Memel to hold the lines against the enemy. Because, let's have a quick look what the heavy tank divisions have. 86 piercing, yeah. So 259 heart attack. They are absolutely going to obliterate the German panzers. Right now we are facing Guderian's panzer divisions coming in with armor of about 50 to 60. So the heavy tanks should be absolutely able to get through that. And they have a piercing of around 30 to 40. So going up against 99 armor is not going to get them very far. The armor value is comparatively low because we are actually pairing these with infantry, simply because we don't have any mechanized right now, and these are infantry tanks. They're more like assault cannons rather than actual tank divisions. But I've got, what I'm thinking is to shrink the lines for the 12th Army here and get them to redeploy westwards. And I think we'll be sending most of them actually into Memel at this point. We'll see. We've got 10 guards divisions here. That should be sufficient. And that should allow us to, we can actually probably send a few of the guards over as well. So we'll be bringing in some reinforcements. Let's get maybe 3 of the guards divisions over there too. Let's bring reinforcing troops over. We do have aerial superiority for now, but we are also planning a counterattack against Brest-Litovsk at least with the 6th Army once. And yeah, I think the planning has been completed. Yeah, planning is complete. So we will be, we're challenging now the Germans up in the air over Belarus. And despite the fact that they're bringing a lot of air power, our fighters are have now built up their mission efficiency, and we are going to launch the attack against Brest-Litovsk simultaneously. Now, Brest-Litovsk is urban, so the tanks are not going to perform too well, but the plains south of it are not. So that's probably where we're going to start sending the tanks in, and we'll get the assault 14th Army Assault Division and the rest of them to support, and then we can assault Brest-Litovsk from two sides. So let's see how that's going to look. Okay, and then we get the rest of the troops to support that fire. 35 combat width, not an awful lot, but they are. The weather is not helping, but I think once they can't pierce. So the Germans can't really effectively defend here either, despite the sheer number of divisions that they've brought to bear. Okay, so how is the Memel situation looking? We are wearing the enemy panzer divisions down quite successfully, but of course they have significant number of reinforcements. Meanwhile, in the north, I think we have here an opportunity if we can take it. I don't think we can catch this Swedish division here, but they are very much out of supply. So let's see if we can manage to catch them off while the 152nd is destroying things in the north. Over in Kenya, we are still trying to evict these divisions here, so we might actually, while the South Africans are organizing themselves here, we might actually have to assist from the other side of the river, widen the lines a little bit, and get that. Yep, we've got them pushed out. Now their plan of attack is coming together. The idea here, and we are actually constructing a railway line from Malakal south, because we're at the edge of supply, simply because the trucks just can't get through very easily. Maybe taking the forest or the jungle here on the other riverbank is going to improve that somewhat. But the eventual plan is to push towards and take Kampala. We have to get across the bridges and take Kampala, then connect the railways, and then Kampala can operate as a forward supply base for the attack against Nairobi and the taking of Kenya. I'm also redeploying a single mountain division from the European front. Same with the Swedish situation, where are we? We're getting a single, which means that we actually have to give up one of the divisions to someone else right now. We've got, where can we put them? Everything actually, yeah, he's commanding one. We're getting actually a penalty because we're commanding one too many divisions. So I'm gonna have to give one of my, just probably one. Yeah, we'll just temporarily put them in the second army. There we go. Now that's sorted. All right, so the situation over Belarus, we are, my gosh, this is a lot of them. 2,000 Germans and lots of Austrians as well, fighting up in the air. But we are making progress towards Brest-Litovsk. And we just need to manage to get a second, there we go, 2 tank divisions now engaged. Make that 3. That is that is slightly over combat width, but we should be able to push them out here eventually, and then we will go for the assault directly from 2 sides against Brest-Litovsk with these assault units. We have destroyed. Let's see if we can pin that Swedish division here and get through in the south in the meantime, but I think that is not really going to happen actually. The rest of the divisions can move back towards Trondheim, and we'll just need to secure the lines. I don't think there are any Swedish defenders here, so if we can just secure the mountains around Trondheim for an assault further east, that will be advantageous. and we're launching the next attacks here against the exhausted Swedish positions. All right. In Africa, we are moving. We've pushed out the Middle African positions here, and it seems that they're somewhat stabilizing, although the Germans are still moving out, so we'll wait for them to move before we attack against Nairobi. And that obviously leaves me with Memel, where the assaults appear to have stopped for now. Is Guderian moving? Yes, Guderian seems to be moving out, so he might have given up for now on Memel, given the numbers of troops, which gives us valuable time to begin constructing fortifications, and it also gives the troops valuable time to begin digging in. Unfortunately, the supply situation is less than ideal, but we're working on it, and yeah, that does not look great either. Do we have the bottlenecks? Yeah, we already. I think part of this is that they're damaged. So the damage from enemy bombing in Ukraine is beginning to cause trouble for the supply situation. But for now, the fighters are needed in Belarus for the attack against the Brest-Litovsk line. Okay. It seems that Guderian is moving his tanks once more. We will see if he finds himself a different position. I don't necessarily see where he's moved off to, but it wouldn't surprise me if he started showing up like around Mogilev or anywhere. But the 27th Panzer Division that we're encountering here is that's moving is actually severely under strength already. So the German tank divisions are somewhat worn out. All right, back to Nairobi, where we're still waiting, and that leads us back to Norway, where the current fighting is going on. I think we are pushing the 16th out here before we are getting through, unfortunately. But we'll just consolidate lines. So even if we can't cut them off, we will just be consolidating the lines here and securing the southeastern flank of Trondheim, while we bring the rest of the troops in to deal with the mountain position as well. Further, okay, we are still getting some sporadic attacks from Guderian, but nowhere near as concentrated as we've seen them last. So for now, just more lighter attacks against the Memel positions, but that is less of a threat at this point. Advanced equipment conversion is done. Now this should speed up the refits quite a bit, and does it say? It usually does, but I'm not entirely certain where I've seen it, because this is just here. It just mentions the refit yards, but other than that, not so much. Okay, we've got the 30 days until the improved hull is complete, and we've got new research. Now I do want to get to the 3 land breakthroughs, so we can start, so we can get the Moscow land warfare facilities underway once more. So can we find anything that gives us? I really do want to get. Actually, at this point, I really do need to get the advanced radio for the reinforcing coordination. Unfortunately, it's aerodynamics and avionics. But is there anything else that is helpful? We could go for the larger. That's another 76mm improved cannon. Yeah, improved artillery be good. We still have armor and engine tech to research. This is still a year ahead of time. Here we are starting to. I think engineer would not be bad either, but that doesn't get us anywhere towards the ground tech. Neither does this. Neither does that. Okay, we'll do the F-43 because of the progress and of the breakthrough progress, and then with the next slot, bracket shooting is almost done. Although this slot I was going to keep on naval, so I might just continue here. But yeah, we'll pick up the advanced radio at some point when it becomes possible. All right, how is it looking on the north here? We are we're fighting. Yeah, they've managed to get out, unfortunately. Okay, which means that their defense here is now somewhat improved, but we can bring the 152nd in now as well, and with that push them back into the mountains, and is somewhat significantly shorten our front lines here. Okay, Kenya. Oh, they've reinforced once more, because they've reinforced before we were able to get bracket shootings done. Before we were able to take the position, and they're still moving here. So once again, we'll open fire from all directions against the enemy. Now, bracket shooting was done, so that is researched, and that brings us to either firefighting drills. How much do I have Navy experience? I can probably get another doctrine going, which I prefer towards, especially that I want to get the battle fleet doctrines through. I prefer towards speeding up the research. So that is going to be the one. And then we'll have to probably save up our naval XP actually for the design of the battleship. All right, so we'll do this. I could go for more attack. Yeah, we're going for the offensive here. Ladder shooting it is, and I do want to get the capital ship designer improved as much as possible. So let's do that. And this is heavy fights over Belarus. We have lost one of our female pilots. Mikhailova has been shot down, and Vorobyov. He actually shot down one. Yeah, so we've lost one of our female aces, but we've killed two of the German aces. So that is well, every loss is bad, but we have managed to conduct ourselves relatively well here in the air, which is helping. We don't have any bombers, but so far we're trading almost evenly. But given that they have a numerical superiority, their planes are good, so that is not. They're more agile than ours, but we're faster and have more firepower. So overall, if you include the bombers, we're trading reasonably well, but we can't sustain that for too long because the air wings will become under strength. We do have additional divisions here, additional guards divisions that we can bring in for reserves, but we've still got the infantry and tank divisions here in reserves as well. So we'll just make sure that they're ready to join in reserve. Why are we having such a low soft attack? Oh, that's a regular infantry. Okay, so the regular infantry divisions have reinforced first, but that's fine. So we've got enough. We should have enough firepower to begin pushing them out from there. And Kenya, we're doing the same thing, and in Sweden as well. The Swedes are defending themselves in the mountains furiously here, but they are very much low on supplies, and we are not. Now, the terrain is not helpful for these operations, so these the guards divisions are not necessarily the best equipped for that. We'll give them some time. Once they've stabilized the lines, we'll give them some time to reorganize and ensure that things. Okay, we do not need to go there. Okay, we've taken the position now, so we do have to make sure that we're not pulling the troops off. And we are immediately getting pushed back, but from enemy attacks here. And so we'll probably bring the 176th over to help defend against the inevitable counterattack. And then they're moving troops around a lot, which means they're not particularly well dug in. How far along is the railway? Yeah, the railway I think is constructed. So yes, there's the railway line. So I think we'll. The situation is not going to get any better if we are to push towards Kampala. So let's begin the assault. And we'll start here, and then we'll see which position we can take, where we can cross the rivers more easily. Well, let's see if we can take on the what is this? The 38th Wehrbezugsskommando and accompanying divisions. I think we are. Yeah, the South Africans are not massively powerful, and we have quite some firepower in these Guards infantry divisions at this point. Okay, here, how's Memel looking? We are getting, okay, the Guderian is back. So we do have to keep an eye once more on Memel and make sure that we've got large numbers of anti-tank divisions now employed, which should have enough piercing. What they're lacking a bit is the heart attack, but they should have enough piercing, yeah, to get through most of the armor of the German mediums. You see the modern ones; they've got armor values of over 60, so definitely something to keep an eye on. All right, this attack here in the north is actually less than ideal. I think we'll abort the attack here for now, but we can still manage to push the. Where are you going? Stay here. We can still manage to push the Swedes out from the eastern mountain position, but then I think we'll wait for the mountaineers to arrive for further offensive action. Memel is holding despite, how's the fortification level now? Still at 1. Ideally we'd get that up, but we have made a third of the next fortification level. That said, I think, yes, we have a heavy tank division. The 8th Heavy Tanks Division. And that is going to join the 6th Army under Boris Stefan. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, he's got Armor Expert, but he's got 2 traits available, but he doesn't really have any... Is he close to any terrain? Not really. Hill Fighter almost. But the other ones, he might get Engineer at some point. So yeah, Trickster as well probably. So that is that. But do we have anybody who can get some traits? Since we're at it, let's have a look. So we've got Field Marshal Denikin, who can. We could get he's an engineer actually. We could get Scavenger, and that would give us a. I'm not actually sure if that applies if it's on a field marshal. Would that give equipment capture to the whole? Or Fortress Buster. That might actually be quite useful as well. Unfortunately, these are mutually exclusive. I might have to have a quick look, but they're still charismatic and organization first. I think I'm going to go charismatic just for the 10% recovery rate, especially in low supply areas on the front. It makes it much easier to hold out here. So I'm going to give him that, because that I definitely know that applies. I'm going to have to have a look if the general traits actually get applied from the field marshal down. So that's good to know. We've got Pepelayev of the 3rd Army, and he can definitely get Scavenger. So that would actually be, yeah, we'll take that. That will bring in some additional equipment, although we're not super short on things anymore at this point. And the rest of them is, I think, in regular shape. The other ones don't really have anything just yet. All right, but we do have the 8th Armored, and I think I was going to go with where are they? I was going to go with Stefan's 6th Army. And just add them to that, and I think that's probably the best option. And then we will send. The problem is supply, really. Yeah, we should be able to supply them at Memel. So I will give that unit a separate front line, and I want them at Memel exclusively. There we go. And they will begin. The idea is the goal midterm is to take Königsberg, because we are seeing the majority of enemy air raids coming out of Königsberg. And they are probably currently covering Belarus, but they could as easily cover the Baltics. The Brest-Litovsk airport is actually a secondary one. So if we can take out Königsberg, they have to fall back towards Lodz and Danzig. So that is going to significantly reduce the effectiveness in the area of the German Air Force. And in the meantime, we are fighting our way through Brest-Litovsk. We're actually getting counterattacked by a Dutch tank division here, but we've still got Allied troops that can assist with that without too much trouble. And we'll see if we can. We've still got 6 divisions to break here, and obviously reinforcements out of Brest-Litovsk. So this is, if this does, given the sheer number of divisions in Memel, I think I'm actually going to instead, I'm not going to send them to Memel. Instead, I'm going to, here. Instead, I'm going to send them to the Brest-Litovsk front. There we go. They can help with the breakthrough against the Brest-Litovsk positions once they arrive, and we should get the 2nd division relatively soon as well. All right, Sweden. Here we have. Okay, we're holding out against Swedish counterattacks, and I think we'll just consolidate the positions here at this point and get the units to sort out their supply positions in the wintry north. And we've got the 2nd, the 11th Heavy, and we're going to send that. We're going to assign that here as well, and then get them on the front lines. Which one is it? This one. 5 divisions should be this one. Okay, so yeah, so everything in order. We get 2 heavy tank divisions to assist the attack against Brest-Litovsk. If we cannot breach, because that's just simply too many of them. If we can't push back the Germans at Königsberg, what we might do is try to break out after Brest-Litovsk has been taken. Try to break out from Volkovisk and take Bialystok, and then try to collapse the front just simply from here. How's their supply route? Okay, Bialystok, there's Königsberg, and then not much else. So they're actually really struggling to supply the troops here, because there's southeast of Königsberg, there's nothing in terms of supply, and we are still working through our railway construction. And we are getting to the point that we are, almost complete with the factories for the heavy tanks. So progress is being made here. How are we looking in Africa? We are crashing into the enemy here, who is becoming relatively resilient, and the lack of supply is not helping. And they have once again retaken the position in the jungle west of Mongala. So that assault here may actually not work out into our advantage. We may have to. We are fully planned though. So combat width is a slight issue, because we are attacking from. We're attacking from a single position here. We may have to clear these guys out first. I was kind of hoping to be able to encircle them and cut them off, but actually that would be quite a diversion from what we were originally doing. So I think I'm going to stop that, and instead we are going to send 2 divisions east, and then we'll counterattack here, because we can attack that from 2 directions. And then we have a wider front towards the core defense line in the Ugandan plains, and then we'll push towards Kampala. Okay. Here we do need to retake this position. So again, we're counterattacking the Middle African troops here in the icy north. Okay, we have taken positions now. we've taken positions now around Trondheim, and from there I think we're stabilizing the lines, but we're facing a significant numerical superiority on the Swedish side. We've got 2, 6, 8, 9, 11 enemy divisions against, I think, deployed 4 on our side. The attack on Brest-Litovsk, the tank divisions are starting to wear down here, the light tank divisions, even though this is just in the open fields, but the constant counterattacks are not helping. So the infantry is going to have to start picking up the slack a little bit. It's significantly, the enemy counterattacks here are not helping. Where are they? They are counterattacking from the north. That's the problem. So I think for now we'll stop the assaults here. We'll wait for the counterattacks to abate and for the heavy tanks to arrive, and then we will have the next attack going on. Attacks against Memel, once again led by Guderian's tank divisions, which have regained some of their strength. So the German armored production is still very much effective, and we're getting more and more capable enemy panzers onto the lines, where our troops are somewhat struggling to deal with them. Although 149 hard attack is pretty good, and I think the air support here is helping as well, especially against the tanks. So unfortunately we only have a few biplanes available to us, so we really need to get the close air support wings going. But for that, we are going to need more factories, and I am going to prioritize construction of more factories because, industrial production still. I did say it was going to take until the end of the year. Industrial production still critical. No further significant attacks, but we do have to keep an eye on the situation in Memel. I've pulled back the 6th Army tanks here somewhat, just so they can, because we are taking a fair few losses on these operations. And we'll have to rely on the infantry to push back the enemy attacks. And the railway guns are helping as well. So is the Air Force, what we have. But mostly, unfortunately, it's only a few biplanes that are assisting there. Now, most of these attacks here are Indian troops launching somewhat desperate counteroffensives here. We do have the 6th Army's light tanks to potentially mount a counter into Memel if it becomes necessary, but I think what I want is them to be a bit closer. We're drawing even more supply out. How's the overall supply situation? Now, Memel should be able to supply this, actually, without too much trouble. It's probably more the infrastructure on the ground that's lacking. So what I can do still is I can get these a little bit closer to the front lines, where they can launch counterattacks in case they manage to break through Memel. Okay, the Brest-Litovsk attack is at this point being defended, and I think probably because we've got some we've got some Hayil camel troops in the Russian winter. They are probably not going to be extremely effective. So we'll defend. They probably started the major offensive because we got out from the entrenchment. So we'll wait for the heavy tank divisions to make their way there. Can we railway redeploy them towards the front lines, because this is going to take forever otherwise? Okay, and then from there they can reorganize themselves and they can join the lines here. So these divisions have 98 armor and a very, very significant amount of firepower. So that is exciting. I'm excited to see these. All right. So front lines have once again been consolidated, and we'll just have to make sure that the troops are going where they're needed. So we are now going to launch an attack in the Ugandan positions east of here and see if we can manage to break them there with 62% planning bonus. Nice. That should hopefully be enough firepower to break through these, and then we can launch the attack towards Kampala more easily. The rest of the divisions just holds the line here. And Where are they going? Okay, they're shuffling around. How about you just stay here? And yeah, oh, we've got 2 here, that's why. Yeah, we need 1 here and this one was there. Yeah, that works. And then we have a balanced layout. All right, Memel. Memel is holding, but okay, Guderian seems... Okay, Guderian has moved off once more. Where's Guderian gone? Okay, he's retreated to Königsberg to lick his wounds by the looks of it, because his panzers are generally 70% strength is not as bad as I would have thought it was going to be. And they're still attacking out of Brest-Litovsk, but we'll wait for the heavy tanks to arrive. How's the air battle over Belarus going? Because that's not one that we can maintain forever. Yeah, well, our losses are staggering at this point. And what we have, we're still trading reasonably well against the enemy fighters. And the question is, we've exhausted our stockpiles, so now we're starting to lose strength on the wings. So we can't maintain that forever. But we do have to wait for the heavy tanks until we launch the next attack. Okay, in Sweden, we're just holding positions for now against vicious Swedish counterattacks. These divisions never have any time to dig in successfully. And I think the offensive actually is going to go slightly differently. So I am going to posit, where's the supply here? I don't think we want to push this way. I think what we'll do instead is try to take Göteborg and then cut the Swedes off in the south instead of trying to push through the terrain here. I mean, it might work, but I don't think we have enough troops to get through this. So the first order is going to be to consolidate the Trondheim position. And obviously I need all of these on that. Consolidate the Trondheim position by pushing the Swedish troops back towards the line here. That should be reasonably defensible. And we are going to probably have to extend. We don't have enough troops to cover the whole line, and unfortunately the Norwegians aren't covering it either. So we'll extend a little bit further north, but of course the railway lines are still threatened. So none of this is particularly ideal. I've got some air experience. Do we still have anything to do here? Yes. Oh, okay, no, that's the switch. Okay, this is ace. I think we've got enough aces. I didn't know I could switch this afterwards. So yes, we're definitely switching to formation fighting at this point because we have so many aces at this point. And that means we have to redo this path, unfortunately. But we're getting a lot of air experience, so we have more aces than we can employ. So this is definitely advantageous. This would be air superiorities, tactical strut bombing, ground support. So this is what we want to take, and then once we get the rest is not particularly. These are not particularly important right now. So this path is actually giving us an extra 15%. Air superiority, which is the main one that we're fighting with, and yeah, we're getting a fair amount of air experience anyway. We do have I don't have anything anymore here to do, so we can sink some army experience into the mountain divisions, and we might actually need to design ourselves some marine divisions as well. To be honest, maybe actually that's the first thing we'll do, because we could take Ceylon off the Germans, because we actually have a land route pretty much through the Indian Federation. So we should be able to, despite the fact that we don't actually have naval forces in the region, it would be interesting to be able to do this. So we're definitely going to need some Marines at some point. We do have a Marine attack division, but it's not particularly great. So let's improve that a little bit. I think the combat width depends on where you're landing. So if we were to land at the port, it depends again what the terrain is. So I'm not too fussed about the actual combat width of these, which means we can go with just a regular sort of 9-1 Marines, give them an artillery combat support. Now for landing operations, we are going to have a look here. What would be the most beneficial one for landing? This is Army Scouts, not particularly. This is Jungle March. It gives us attack bonuses, so the long range patrol company might actually be the better one just for infiltration, because the rest is just movement, and we don't really care that much about movement. The flame tanks obviously will not help. The flame tanks will not help us necessarily. 5% on amphibious, even if they're not amphibious themselves. That's interesting. So if we do this, and we do, where is it? Amphibious landings, we get 46% attack. Okay, and that counts. So if we take that off, amphibious, 41. Yeah, okay. So that actually counts. Interestingly enough, I would have thought that that they would have to be amphibious tanks in order to work. But okay, I'll take it. Obviously, we do want the. None of this has any. This is against fortifications. But we do want the field hospitals. We do want the engineer company, because that's 15% attack on amphibious. So that is absolutely essential, which makes sense because combat engineers are very, very essential against things. This actually does not have help against help for amphibious landings. So maybe the recon isn't actually that useful after all, which means we can go with the support AA and the support RT. Does this have any? This is just against fortifications. It's the same thing here. All right, so we don't have any amphibious tanks because I simply don't have the factories for it. But this would give us a 61% attack bonus on amphibious landings, and a 30% attack bonus on rivers, because the Marines are pretty good at this. I've got 21 width. I could throw in another artillery, maybe another one. Okay, 300 soft attack for 27 combat width. That may work out reasonably well, and that's 100 XP to, and yeah, these are elite divisions as well as special forces. Okay. So we'll save that, and we get a few of them trained up actually. I could just convert existing troops into that as well, but I don't need them right now because we have the obvious problem of where do we want to deploy them? It doesn't matter. We just deploy them in Moscow. We have the obvious problem of not being able to bring ships there. I might have to do something about the Ottomans at some point. How many am I going to need? Let's do like 4 divisions probably. Just be conservative there. And with that, we're back to the action. Okay, we're holding the line in Sweden and just we will wait for the Mountaineers to launch the offensive combat operations. We're obviously not able to cover the whole front. How many divisions does Norway have? A few, but that's all we know. So we don't actually have the greatest understanding. Can you, yeah, that's going to take you a while. Can you take the railways towards Trondheim, please? Yeah, the railway towards Trondheim and then operate from there. Do we have the heavy tanks on site at this point? No, they're still on the train. They'll be unloaded north of Kobryn, but the assaults out of Brest-Litovsk have ceased for now. Nope, they haven't ceased. They keep going. So our troops are defending themselves valiantly against enemy cycle charges, and we are hammering them with artillery. Once the heavy tanks arrive and are organized, we are going to see them the first time in the field. Now, how's Memel looking? Memel is, Guderian is back at Memel and is once again launching his assaults here. The air battle over Belarus is still fiercely contested, but we have a good mission efficiency now. Also, I don't think I have to cancel that. It's not having an ongoing cost, is it? No, it's just an allocation. Okay. So that I can live with. I don't need the allocation right now. But everything else looks decent. So back to Africa, where we have defeated the enemy in the plains, and with that I will send 2 divisions east, and then we will counter the South Africans here. Let's see who gets there first. I might actually get the 143rd to block the Africans in place here for a little bit. Just while we are, how long is it still going to take us? I think we're there, so we can stop the counterattack. We've got another. We've lost another one of our pilots, so I'm actually having to go to, because they don't get automatically replenished, which is an odd oversight. But I am going to have to keep a quick look at. Yeah, you see, this was Mikhailova, who has been shot down. So do we have somebody equally capable? Unfortunately, that seems not to be the case. If I'm looking through this, we have more aces than what we know what to do with, but we don't have. We're going to get the second guard probably now on board here, and yeah, he has to be replaced as well. Okay, yeah, so unfortunately the game doesn't do that by itself, which is odd, but it is something that you need to take care of. All right, and I think this was just the ace pilots. Yeah, don't need to look at that. Here we are now getting Swedish counterattacks quite noticeably against our lines after the initial successes, but the mission still remains, and we're waiting for the 34th mountain to arrive. I might end up, if Memel holds, I might end up just getting a few more of the mountain divisions deployed to the other areas. Memel actually is struggling against the German tanks here, so an ongoing fight here. But we haven't gotten anywhere anywhere from these attacks. All right, heavy tanks are now making their way to the front lines and are now actually engaged in combat for the first time, but they're just in the reinforcements at this stage somewhere. Yep, there they are. So we will see if they actually get engaged in active combat. We'll wait for them to complete the planning, and then we'll let them lead the assault south of Brest-Litovsk, where the enemy is cycle charging at this point. Okay, the attack against Memel has been defeated. And these assaults here are mostly just infantry attacks. We can hold these without too much trouble. But the mountain division is actually very good here, because they are extremely powerful against from dug-in positions against heavy infantry attacks. Nope, Guderian is back already, so that hasn't lasted particularly long. Kenya, okay. We have gotten the troops in position now, so we can launch the next assault. We could push further east here, but there's really nothing for us to gain because we want to get towards Nairobi, but we don't have the range from supply. And also Malachi is becoming a little overwhelmed at this point due to the sheer number of friendly troops that are making their way in. So that's do we have to deal with that? Unfortunately. Yeah, we can't. I could manually upgrade the railways, probably. Can I? Yes, I can. So I would have to. This is all part of Persia. So I would have. So the supply is going to come from Tehran, which means I would have to update the supply lines all the way here. Yeah, I'm not doing that. So instead, we'll make do with what we have, but we have to take Kampala. That is the much more prudent mission at this point. So we'll defeat the enemy open in the plains, and then we will see if we can use the momentum. And now we attack them from 2 directions. They are relatively well dug in, especially the Wehrbezugsskommando, but I think our guards infantry should be able to blow them out of the plains without too much trouble. All right, Memel still holding. And the assaults here appear to have abated in Brest-Litovsk, for now at least, giving our troops a bit of, nope, they're still coming. Do we see, I want to see the tanks in action, but so far we're not seeing the We're not seeing the tanks on the first line. It's always the 14th, that is 14th Army troops that are coming in first line for the defense. So I'll keep an eye on it. Hopefully we'll get to see the heavy tanks on the defense. Memel is still holding, but is struggling in general, as we were suspecting. We have concentrated a massive number of the 12th Army's anti-tank divisions here now, which should be doing a fair amount of damage to the enemy panzers. That said, these panzer divisions are still reasonably well equipped, so Germany can sustain these losses. Talking about losses, let's have a look at the overall situation. So equipment-wise, how many tanks have they lost? Enemy combat losses, almost 10,000 medium tanks have been destroyed or disabled on the front. But regardless, Germans keep making more and sending them our way. So that is definitely unfortunate. But overall, losses are probably staggering. So Russian losses are still within the sort of realm of 200 to 300,000 so far in this conflict, which, given the fierce fighting, is actually a relatively good ratio. Whereas the Germans have now almost approaching 3 million men lost, and the Austrians as well. So at some point, how many? No, that's not what we want. How many troops do they have remaining? They've still got about a million men in reserves, but they must be running low at some point. How's the situation elsewhere? We haven't looked in a while. The mess in France is still continuing. So some German troops seem to have been encircled near north of Nîmes, and they still haven't managed to evict the Italian control. But Sardinia, which has joined the Entente, Sardinia has landed north of Rome and behind enemy lines after they got bogged down between La Spezia and Florence. So with the Sardinian invasion of Italy, that might actually change the situation on the ground quite a bit. Still no change in Burma, but and it looks like the Japanese invasion, where were they? In Shanghai, weren't they? That seems to have failed. So unfortunately, but they have landed in Gwangju. For some reason, Feng Tian is taking that over, probably because of their claim, Feng Tian's claim on all of China. So they have managed to land from Formosa between Xiamen and Gwangju. And we'll see if they can break out from there and if they can bring sufficient reinforcements in. Otherwise, the lines are reasonably static. Japan has secured Guam. There's just one of the northern Marianas that's still left under German control. And the German invasion of the Philippines isn't really getting anywhere either. They're still trying to make their way onto Mindanao and push anywhere seriously. But so far, there seems to be a relative stalemate in the Pacific, with the Americans in control of Wake Island, which is, I think, their furthest outpost in this region. Other than that, not much has changed. So let's get back to the front lines. Memel is holding, and I am waiting for Brest-Litovsk to come to the point of getting our tanks involved. But we're seeing a lot of very short duration attacks here, and I was hoping that the entrenched friendly troops would have been enough to defeat the counterattacks, but apparently that was not necessarily the case. Look at the sheer concentration of enemy forces here at Memel. We're holding them, but it is breaking through there is going to be relatively difficult. Belarus is still holding, and we're still trading reasonably well in the air but we are starting to, we're almost holding it. We're starting to see some losses here. Heavy flame tanks, I've got 10 factories on that, so we should be able to replenish these. And here we are simply, do we have fortifications here? Yes, we've got level 5 fortifications, but they're attacking, they're cycle attacking regardless. That is quite fascinating to see. So hopefully these attacks will abate at some point. Otherwise, I might throw the heavy tanks into a counterattack, regardless of the fact that we've got one of the which one is this? The first mechanized and the 2 heavy tank divisions. Regardless of the lack of planning, let's see if we can manage a counterattack to relieve them somewhat. So that's going to bring the 8th and 11th heavy armored into the game. That is, combat width is obviously a problem because of the size of everything, but they should be doing a reasonable amount of damage, and they should take the enemy. I mean, they're up against a large enemy formation, but we will see if we'll see what the staying power of these divisions is. All right. Meanwhile, in the Navy, in 1923, Kolchak launched a naval program for the repair and retrofit of the aging Russian Navy. In 1927, he started a second naval program. I think we've already looked at that. So this is the 3rd naval expansion program, which is going to reduce the production cost and the refitting cost for everything quite significantly. Which means we can get a few dockyards for free. That is, there are a few free dockyards that we can take here. So that might actually not be a bad idea, in order just to get because we're currently not having enough dockyards to get all the refits underway completely. But this has all sped up a little bit. So this is obviously still 1943. And yeah, the 3rd naval expansion program is now improving that as well. But I would have thought, I'm still confused where the conversion comes in, because I would have thought that played a role. From memory it did. Anyway, let's see, what do we do next? We've got this would be 10% coordination. Yeah, we're doing unity of doctrine next. Cost reduction for land doctrine doesn't help me too much unless it applies to the mountaineers. Then we could actually use it quite well as well. So let's do that. And the most interesting battle right now, because this is relatively quiet, the Kenyan front, we have actually managed to push them out. So now we just have to defeat the counterattacks. And then comes the question, okay, we can't attack here. So I think what we'll do is we will consolidate south, and then the problem is that Kampala is very well shielded by the river here, which floods into the large lake. And getting across here is going to be almost impossible. And getting across here is going to be difficult, to say the least. So I am not certain if we can actually manage this. Just in case we can, I'm going to already get the railway scheduled into Uganda. But this might be difficult, because there are a fair number of enemy troops on the line, which means I can, given that friendly troops are now starting to hold the line here somewhat more consistently, I don't have the supply to bring additional divisions over, unfortunately. This is assaulting these positions even from the north is going to be tricky, at least. So we'll try. Otherwise, we might have to try and attack from the north and bypass and get into Kampala from the other side. But we need that position, and we need this one as well for the railway connection. So once the defense is complete here, then we are going to return. We are going to return on the offensive. Meanwhile, let's have a look how this is working out. The combat width is not ideal, but we're doing a decent amount of damage. Obviously, the counterattacks aren't helping. The problem of that they're having is this is only reducing this is reducing breakthrough as well. That's less than ideal. But the problem is that they can only do 50% of damage to these divisions. So the enemy infantry is going to have a devil of a time holding against these monster tanks. Memel is still holding, and here, okay, here we are going to have to obviously change the front lines, because now what we are going to do, we don't have the combat width, do we? So we can get once again 2 divisions here, and then we'll launch the attack here and secure the riverbank. This is held, everything's held in the north, okay. So we'll get the 146th and 141st over eastwards, and then it gives us a full range of potential attacks. In the north, bombing here, severe bombing here from. Do they have the Germans brought? No, we've still got friendly bombers active. We're still fighting down the German Air Force over Belarus, and I am almost suspecting that they're having trouble getting the rubber through the channel, because the British might have a relatively effective naval blockade, and if they're trying to ship across here, they have to get past the Russian submarines as well. All right, regardless, the question remains, can we push out the enemy troops here? The problem is the counterattacks, because that reduces the effectiveness of all of this quite a bit, because we are in multiple combats. So we're only getting half of it, because the rest, it's too crowded, so they get affected by the shelling from the other side. Swedish front looks reasonable, and we've got the mountain divisions here now as well. So we'll try to launch a sneaky attack behind them in enemy lines from the 34th, and we will see if we can. The terrain should actually, the terrain is not great, but these are our specialists. We can't support that from the other side, I think. No, because that is just not fitting. But if we can defeat the 12th here, then we'll have 2 Swedish infantry divisions cut off, and that maneuver should be quite successful. Now in Africa, once again, what's going on? Oh, up here apparently. Okay, apparently we have they have snuck in some troops here while we weren't looking. So let's get these evicted. All right, and then this one needs to stay. And the other 2, not move north. That is unnecessary. But the other 2 are. I don't want to pull them off the front line, because then they probably lose their planning here. The other 2 are going to head east, and then we will launch. Once we're in position, then we will launch the counterattack there. Right. Central Europe. How is it looking? Still in multiple combat. But holding out, so the big point here is the staying power of these heavy tanks. Whoosh! Bf-109 passing by here. Still holding out. The incessant counterattacks aren't helping. So if we can't make it through, then we'll have to defend first until these counterattacks are stopping. Improved heavy hull has been researched. We've only got 25 Navy experience. I thought we might have a bit more. But we have the Balski Zavod now for heavy ship reliability. That's where we want to go. I think this is anti-air, speed. This is armor, torpedo damage reduction, weather penalty, range is also important, and speed again. But this is hit points and production resource need, not important for me. For now, we'll take the reliability, and then we will get back to. Now we only leave 1 research slot on naval. The rest has to go and deal with the other things that are starting to pile up a little bit here. So this would be additional just fuel gain. We don't need that. This is all way ahead of time. We've already pushed. That's still a year ahead for concentrated 5. So unless I had a bonus there, I wouldn't waste it. This is getting there, full metal airframe, but I'm starting to think that the German Air Force may not be that much of a threat anymore by the time we actually get that to work. So instead, we are going to get things that are helping us with the infantry, because that is still one of our major backbones. So let's get that going, and we've got the toss, and we've lost another ace, unfortunately. So that happens anyway. Toss is still at. We can't invite the Greek. We could break our non-aggression pact with the Ottomans, but for now, what are these? Pacification in North Caucasus. What do I need to do? I don't need base stability. My bigger problem is the war support. So we actually that mentioning that we could this it gives us a free special forces branch specialism. Is that a doctrine? I'm not sure. But what we could do is radio propaganda for 75, which would give us instant war support. Alternatively, we can start countering the combat casualties, and I think that's what I'm going to do, because that has it's the exhort heroism that is for 180 days countering the combat casualty modifier. There are a few other things that are really interesting as well. We've got free military factories. Yep, that's all free military factories, and for political power. So there's a fair few things that I actually still want to do, but I think we're going to go with the exhort heroism first, and the propaganda affairs of dealing with the home front, because I'm not happy with seeing that going down this far. So far it hasn't affected stability, but at some point, I can't remember what the war support requirement is. So total mobilization would be 80%. I can't remember what the war support requirement is for war economy, but I don't want to get off. I don't want to be pushed out of war economy due to lack of war support. So that's our primary task right now. We have another breakthrough. Okay, and actually the lack thereof. The testing has proven inconclusive, but we're getting to, with the project transporter, we're making our way towards the first prototype, and then hopefully we can bring that to bear. And we are making breakthrough progress towards the 3 breakthrough points on land warfare as well. All right, last thing I'll do for today's episode. This worked. So let's pin these in place, and then let's conclude this here. Is that going to be an effective encirclement? Actually, it might not be. I think that might not actually be an encirclement, because they probably can get out here. But let's find out if that is an encirclement. This division needs to stay, and now we can from here. Now we have to replan. Okay, so we've got to plan again from here, and we have to then launch the assault, and hopefully we have momentum against Kampala. That would be ideal. The rest of the positions, we're not going to doing any kind of offensive action. Just hold the lines here. But we're seeing a lot of Persian divisions now being deployed to the African front. That is good news. All right, how is Brest-Litovsk looking? Heavy tanks are still in the fight. But the bigger problem are the counterattacks here, because it keeps pulling the tank divisions into multiple combat, and I think part of it is the lack of entrenchment. So let's give these divisions time to entrench, and we'll see if we can reinforce. We've still got the 2 light tanks here. We can push in reinforcements and see that we can. Maintain the momentum here and bring a bit more firepower, but I think we might be able to break through this. Okay, that's something for next episode. Yeah, unfortunately, this will not be sufficient to cut them off. What we can, however, do is we can see if we can launch a combined assault. That might actually be difficult, but it may work since the mountaineers are leading the fight. A combined assault against the Swedish division here, seeking to cut off and destroy the 2 Swedish divisions in the north. We'll see if that works out. Memel still holding against vicious enemy attacks. Okay, this is new. Volkovisk is now coming under assault here. Quite concentrated. I don't think they get anywhere. And other than that, Africa needs to improve their planning, and we have the mountain division coming in as well now. So I think we may actually, given that we'll be running out of supply here already, we may actually begin launching the assault here against 6 enemy divisions, like not giving them too much time to dig in, and then we'll leave 1 behind, and the rest needs to push on towards Kampala. So that is going to happen next episode, but now we'll have a quick look for a warship design, and then we'll see how much naval experience we're going to be needing. In order to design ourselves a new ship, because it's probably more than what we have currently. So let's have a look. We've got the improved heavy ship hull, and we can obviously. I am thinking of going for a battle cruiser. Obviously, we'll apply the benefits from the Balski Zavod, and then we'll see what we put in there. So, fire control 3, radar would help with would somewhat help. Yeah, I think radar for fire control radar for the light batteries is not a bad idea. We obviously need anti-air guns. Unfortunately, we only have the old 120 millimeter secondaries. We do have to keep an eye on the speed, although that is way more than we need. Target speed's probably going to be in the mid 20 knots, but I'd rather give them more heavy armament. So I don't have the more modern secondaries, but we'll begin with the 305 millimeter cannons. Not a fan of that. I don't have a. So I would prefer the 380 mils, simply because that's what's the difference between the 305s? So this is 1836, and that would be 2240. It's not such a massive difference. The increase in caliber. So we may actually just go with the we've got the 406 millimeter, the 18 inchers, but we don't have the hole to do that because it's a special project. The other thing that annoys me is the lack of proper secondaries, because we're still having the old secondary batteries here, but would have loved the dual purpose secondaries. But that's just modern stuff that we just don't have available, so we'll have to make do. All right, let's get back to it. Where were we? Heavy hull. So, regular secondaries, a radar, fire control, anti-air guns, and then we're going with 305 millimeter cannons. So, we've got two slots forward and 1 slot rear. So that is, and we obviously have to compare that to the Ismails, because that's what we're sort of supplanting here. That is almost twice the firepower of the Ismails, so significantly more power. 27 knots, can still put a little bit more onto them. Reliability 85. We get that up with the Balski Zavod, but we're losing a bit of speed here. And we could. I don't need any more additional AA, I think. I haven't seen much enemy air. So what we could do is throw another secondary battery in for additional light attack, and run with 26.5 knots. That is a decent speed. The Ushakovs are doing 32, so obviously we're faster than them, but that's the base speed of the fleet. So with that, we would have a reasonably, and that need 45. So we're going to need what's to be upgraded. Oh, did I not put the battle cruiser armor in? Okay. Yeah, battle cruiser armor and heavy engine 2. I think the engines are coming with the hulls, so that would need the next hull. These are obviously not as well armored as the Ismails, because it's only battle cruiser armor. It's the 305mm belt. If we were to put in the battleship armor, we could do that. That would put us on par with the Ismails, but it would significantly, it would still reduce the speed quite a bit more and make these more expensive. And actually, it's not a huge difference in expense. And then, well, we might actually just go with the battleships as well. So 48 is the target. 48 naval XP. We'll get there. And then we will hopefully have, once these are completed, a fleet that is capable of securing the Russian coastlines. We have lost a convoy. Why are we having a convoy here? I do not see how or why. We have convoy lines in the Mediterranean. Might have been supply for the Persian lines here at some point. Or maybe the captain got lost. But yeah, we should not have an awful lot of convoys going on. Anyway, the Japanese naval invasion has been defeated. So they've been defeated twice now, once in Shanghai and once in Gwangju. And they're not making any progress near Beijing. So Japan is severely struggling to land troops. The Germans have landed more troops and have taken the port of Sidway. So maybe that makes a bit of a difference there. But we are fighting our way into Kenya. And the idea is to collapse the eastern front and then push towards the enemy capital of Dar es Salaam and see if we can get Middle Africa sorted out and kicked out of the affairs. Florence is now being bypassed. The Sardinian invasion north of Rome has been defeated, but I think the troops had to be pulled off the front lines, which has given the Austrians additional leeway. The German Empire has connected and is now in control of begins to take control of southern France. And hopefully hopefully for the Germans, they can deal with the continued syndicalist uprising here. Other than that, Brazil still fighting against Argentina, and the United States have not really shown their cards just yet.